All right, welcome to Hair Metal Revolution. Guys, we got a lot to talk about today. So we're just going to get in and get started. First of all, I apologize for no shows last week. And like the week prior, things happened. Yesterday, I got sick. So you might hear a little bit here, but it doesn't matter. We got to talk about things today. But first, before we start, we got to say something that's sad. Anytime in the music world, when somebody passes away, it's sad. It's just sad, Brad Arnold, the voice of Three Doors Down, passed away from I think it was kidney cancer, and he was only 47 years old. Now, for the record, people, I never owned a Three Doors Down album. I heard some of their songs on the radio, so I know who they are, but I wouldn't be called a typical fan. I did not dislike them. I never bought their music. But when you hear people pass away, especially at the age of 47, it kind of reminds you that life is short. Life is short. So, go out there and do it. Go out there, do whatever you need to do, because you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. It's like that Social D song. You got to reach for the sky because tomorrow may never tomorrow may never be whatever. Tomorrow will never be something. You do got to reach for the sky because you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. Again, I am not a Three Doors typical fan. I never own an album, but it's sad when somebody passes away at the age of 47. That just sucks. I'm a little older than that. I'm in my 50s, right? And I know tomorrow could be it. So enjoy life today. Celebrate the music that we have. And when people complain that, hey, Motley Crue should not even tour, they're done. Listen, they're still alive. Do it until you can't, right? I mean, life is short. If you got to do what you enjoy in life, because you never know, people. You never know. So I just want to give my respects to his family. It's always sad. And so again, if you're a Three Doors fan, I feel bad for your loss. But just keep playing their music, right? Just keep playing their music. Keep talking about it. Keep the music alive. Kind of like what we do here. Keep the 80s, 70s music alive, and some 90s. Keep it alive. Keep it going, And I love being here with you guys because right now Seattle's having a big, huge Seattle Seahawks parade. I live in Seattle, but I want to be here to talk to you guys. So this is my dedication. Right before we get into the first topic of Poison, guys, we hit over 50,000 subscribers. Unbelievable. Why? Because it tells me that we all love the music. We give it the respect that it deserves. We're taking it back from all those stupid ass people who make fun of the music. We love it, right? We love it. This is why we're here. So, guys, and we're just all music lovers, period. We love all kinds of music. We're not like our stupid government. Oh, halftime show, Bad Bunny. Who gives a fuck? It's a halftime show, good music, good this. Doesn't matter. We got to enjoy all music because music is great. Music what keeps things around. So keep rocking. And music needs to be live and real with real instruments. I'm not a Bad Bunny fan. I mean, I'm not a fan, but I've never, ever bought their albums. But at least they use real musicians, right? One thing we love about the 70s, 80s, because these bands had real musicians. It's not like the Grammys, where the songs of the year have 10 different writers for each song. How that works, don't know. But again, so we're gonna talk about some stuff. I'm trying to pull up some stuff here because I tried to squeeze things down a little bit. And hold on a second. Let me pull this up. All right, we're going to talk about Poison. Now, I always believe to be truthfully with you guys, right? The truth, my thoughts, and this is the last time I'm ever going to talk about, Poison not doing, doing a tour, not doing a tour for 2026. Now, I was looking up information on what the media thinks why Poison won't do a 40th anniversary tour. Because we heard that Brett wanted like 6 times the money of their band members. Ricky Rocket went on the Hair Metal Guru channel, and then a musician for the Bret Michaels band came on his channel and kind of started this whole war that's unnecessary. It's an unnecessary war, and people need to squash it. The media says the reasons were that Bret Michaels has his own solo tour plans, which he has a successful solo tour. Bret Michaels having a great time. He's having a fun time. He's in charge. He gets to do what he wants. That's a hard thing to say. Okay, I'm just going to walk away and go back to a situation where we don't truly know. We heard stories, but we don't truly know, do they really truly get along? Because what you see on stage is not what you see backstage, right? When you're on stage, you become an actor, like Alice Cooper, right? He's a regular person. My friend Danny Statton has had a drink with Alice Cooper before. Alice Cooper don't drink alcohol no more, but Alice Cooper would tell you when he's on stage, he becomes Alice Cooper. When he's off the stage, he's not Alice Cooper. And that's almost like all bands, right? And they're saying here that CC DeVille is unreliable. I haven't heard that he became unreliable. I don't know. Eternal grudges keep flaring up. Yes, but you can also say that happens with most bands too. Most bands, there's always things flare up because, listen, when with your own family, things flare up. When you're with the band, things are going to flare up because you see your band members more than you see your family members when you do these tours and stuff. You're on hotels, RVs. I mean, they are your family, and things flare up. Poison take back seat. I don't know exactly what that means. I don't know if that means like when I'm wearing the Def Leppard, Motley Crue, stadium tour shirt. Poison was part of it, but Poison wasn't part of the co-headlining. They were in that band. I mean, they were in that tour, but they weren't co-headlining. Is that what they're talking about? Them taking the back seat, that they don't get to share the same amount of time as the other bands? I mean, I don't know. And it says here, disappears before shows. I don't know what they mean by that. Like, do they not show up and they can't last a long tour? Well, first of all, most all bands nowadays can't last a long tour. So that's almost like all bands. All bands can't last a long tour anymore. A lot of times bands will fly in on different planes. They meet each other. They go out there and they play. So, and all that. Let me look at a few things in the chat real quick. I smoked weed with Willie Nelson in Texas once. Hey, you know what? I'm going to tell you something. I know they're supposed to have all these science and all this stuff about smoking weed, what it does to you or whatever. But God damn it, Willie Nelson like steps on all that science, because that man smokes weed his whole life. He's still touring, still singing, and all that. Yeah, bro, I'm a method actor. A concert on arena level is like a Broadway show that supposedly, hopefully it's live. They're all actors out there. They're all playing the part, right? Maybe some are more, I don't know, but all that. But the thing is, whatever the truth is, we're never going to know the 100% full truth. Was it a money issue? Did Brett want it more? I don't know. Or sometimes you know, I hate to say this, but sometimes somebody doesn't really want to do. They just don't want to tour with the original band. They just don't, right? Maybe he did bring up a money thing on purpose. So, you know, so he's not touring. I mean, I don't know. I can't tell you for a fact if the money was an excuse, because I don't know. I don't know what's true, what's not, because Bret Michaels came out and said he did not say that. So again, this is what I say. They're not touring in 2026. Let's move on. Let's move on. Listen, and this is coming from a guy who told every single one of you, my first concert ever in life was Rat Dancing on the Cover Tour with Poison opening up. My first arena show ever. The very first act that I've seen on stage was Poison. The very first time was Poison. How many letters have you wrote to Bret? 0. 0. Hold on a second. Hold on. It was a money issue. We know. You don't. You're wrong. How many letters have you wrote? Okay. I don't know who you are. What I'm telling you is we fully don't know. It could be the money issue. I don't know. I don't make up lies. I don't exaggerate. It could have been pure money issues. But we really, truly don't know. Is the band lying? Is Bret lying? And I'm not here to say who's lying, who's not. All I'm saying is there's not going to be a tour. That's it. It's over. And some of these channels that keep beating the dead horse over and over and over again, they jump on this bandwagon of hate. All you're doing is going to piss off the members of the band even worse, where they're never going to tour again. Let it die. Bret doesn't want to do it this year. If it's because of money, so be it. It's not the end of the world, right? There's always different reasons. We all think we know the reason. Everything is about money, and it could be about the money. I don't know that for a fact. But they're not touring. Okay, sorry. Move on. I hope they do tour one day because I need to see them again, right? I said that. First concert ever, and hopefully they can be my last concert ever. Not like the day after. That would suck, right? One day, Poison gets back together next year. I go to the tour, and you hear, hey, that guy, Hair Metal Revolution, he passed away after a Poison tour. So I don't want that to happen. You know, but, you know, how many letters I wrote to Bret? Listen, hold on. I have certain rules. And I do. I have certain rules that I will never, ever, ever do. I'm never going to write a letter to a band. Because it's not real, because you don't even know if they read it or somebody else reads it. And second, I will never, ever, 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 ever do. I will never, ever pay for an autograph. I won't do it. I'm not going to pay it. You know, next week, in 2 weeks, I'm going to Emerald City Comic Con up here in Seattle. I love going to Comic Con. There's all these actors, you know, and they charge for autographs. I will never, ever pay for autograph. Why? Because it's not real. It's not real. I don't want to pay for them to write me their name. I want them to write me their name because they want to, not because of money. It just wouldn't feel real to me. I will never, ever pay. It's one of the things why I get it, why they do VIPs. They sell, you know, but you know what I mean? I want to be invited because they really care about the fans. They want me back there. And I understand they got to make money and all that, but it feels fake. It feels fake. And there's a lot of great actors and comic book writers are coming to Comic-Con, and they're all charging $75 to $500 for certain kind of autographs. I just can't do it. It's not real to me. Who knows? I'm sure they all fall. Love Bret. Love Cease. Who cares? Just play, bro. Yeah. Listen. Listen. I guess I could break it down in a certain way. I'm retired now, right? I love doing this. I love talking to you guys. I'm not making any money doing this. I'm really not making any money. Nobody sponsors this channel. And I don't kiss ass to record companies to send me stuff to open up boxes on the air. Look at what I'm opening, people. I got 300 discs. I will never do that. It's almost like me spitting in your face, like, look what I got. Now, I do like it when my buddy Danny sends me comic books and stuff. That's awesome. That's my friend, right? That's my friend. That's my friend. You know, but do my job paid more than what I'm doing now? Hell yes. Hell yes. But I wasn't having fun no more. I'm having fun. Did I lose a lot of money? Yes. Because retirement money is not as good as the money you get in regular check. So I'm sure Brett can make a lot more touring with Poison. But it might be too much of a hassle, doing a solo. He might just love it. And that's fine. You know what? If he came out and said, hey guys, I'm going to just do a solo tour for the rest of my career. Do I wish he would be back to Poison? Yes. But you know what? You got to do what's happy for you. Guys, at the beginning of the show, we just said how the lead singer of Three Doors Down died at the age of 47. You don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. You got to do, when you get to a certain age, you got to be happy in your life. You got to be happy. And if you're not happy, what is it worth living? So, yeah, that sucks. I know how I feel. I saw Leonard Skinner in South Carolina 3 days later. They died in a plane crash. That's what I'm talking about, man. That's what I'm talking about. You don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. You got to do what makes you happy today. I make less money doing this. I don't make any money doing this. I actually lose money doing this, but I love it. So be it. You are a social butterfly who has spread his wings. All right. You are a social butterfly who spread his wings. Well, you know what? I'm not really spreading my wings. I'm one of those guys who are not afraid to tell you the music that he loves, right? Music genre, not just hair metal itself. It seems like rock music itself is looked down upon, right? It really is. Grammys could give a shit about rock music. Yeah, I know they did a nice little thing for Ozzy, but you take away Ozzy and certain like legends in certain ways, nobody will get that treatment, right? If something happens to Taylor Swift, the whole world will shut down. They got to have a holiday for her. And rock music takes a back seat to a lot of stuff. It is. So if rock music takes a back seat, 80s takes even a deeper back seat. It is what it is. So, okay. So again, I will talk when I talk about Poison in the future, it's going to be more of celebration of the band. It's not going to be about, oh no, they're not touring because of this. I'm not going to be part of that social media. I'm not going to be part of that garbage talk that people just wants to beat a dead horse. All you got to know, they're not touring. That's it. That's final. If they tour in 2027, fantastic. I'll be there with my tickets, rocking on. But until then, subject of Poison not touring is over. All right. Second story that's pretty sad. We finally got Dee Snider to do a 2026 Twisted Sister reunion tour, which they haven't toured, I don't even know how long. But it's been canceled. No tour in 2026. In the 80s, Twisted Sister clawed their way from Long Island bars to rock stardom, and that's a fact. Twisted Sister earned their hits. They fucking earned it. They just didn't walk into a studio, got a contract. I mean, they had to play bars and clubs where studios were just passing them over like nothing. Twisted Sister earned it. They truly earned it. Of course, we know the mega hits. You know, We're Not Going to Take It, I Want to Rock, and of course more. No tour in 2026. Dee Snider was ready to light it up again, but he had to break the sad news of the 2026 tours off. The bandmates, physical issues, knees, backs, everything hurts. Basically, his arthritis and stuff is so bad that he just can't do a full concert. You know, people might say, well, didn't I just see him with Bret Michaels doing some songs? There's a difference of just jumping on stage, doing a couple songs, and then doing a full show every other night. You know? And this was hard for Dee Snider because he finally decided to do it, to give it a shot. The surviving members of Twisted Sister, they got it, planning for the tour, and now they had to shut it down. And getting tours started costs money. So, they lost money on this. Paying people to get the tours, get everything started. So, this is heartbreaking. Again, we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, man. You don't know. The musicians that we love, people, are not getting younger. And we can always say, well, man, they should have toured 5 years ago, 10 years ago. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He tried. It didn't work out. And who knows? Maybe they could do one show here and there. I mean, who knows if anything's ever going to happen? Or maybe Dee will just jump on stage with some bands for a song or two. I'm sure he'll do stuff like that. But if he's not fully healthy, don't go out there and do it. Last thing we want to do is, didn't like the most saddest thing ever in the history of music is Phil Collins was doing a concert. He did it all from a chair. I mean, that's if you have to be in a chair, I'm not talking about if you break your leg and it's out of ordinary and you had a tour date. I still get it. But doing a whole tour in a chair, I still liked 80s best music today, but has no soul. I hear better AI music than real bands. Sad it is. It's pretty, Danny, we made an album on this channel for fun. We made a band, we made an album, and it's sad that, yeah, it's easy for people to say that, we're old. We just don't understand music. But there was something about music, there's something like Queen, the band Queen and Kiss did something that was very smart. Queen and Kiss, they made certain songs where people could sing along, right? Queen, We Will Rock You, Kiss, Rock and Roll All Night, Shout Out Loud. They made songs that you in a crowd could sing along. So a lot of these songs, a lot of these rock music, you really can't sing along. Not to the point where you sing along where the whole crowd is singing. You know what I mean? Like those parts. It's like bands made parts so they could hear it from the crowd, right? You guys know what I'm talking about? You know, Queen was famous for doing that. Kiss was famous for doing that. You know, you know what I mean? You know what I mean, guys? I I'm not saying music has to be like sing along, but for me, there's got to be some kind of enjoyment. It's got to be, you know, I love hearing riffs. Eddie Van Halen, his fucking riffs. You know, Randy Rhoads riffs with Ozzy. Warren Martini, his riffs with Rat. I mean, one thing about Rat, every single album they did, they had those wonderful riffs. You know, I mean, Steve Vai riffs. I mean, there's just so many bands. George Lynch riffs. There's something about music when it's like the riffs itself is singing to you, right? And a lot of guitars I hear it's just like it's more distortion versus the riff, where you got the singing, you got the riff, and sometimes I know every singer now all plays guitar. It's like every band, like everybody plays, but sometimes I kind of I kind of miss, like, one thing I'm gonna miss about the not seeing Poison tour. Bret Michaels, yeah, he plays acoustic guitar like on every Rose, but he's the lead singer. He's got guitar, he's got the bass, he's got the drums. Van Halen had David Lee Roth, they got it. With Sammy plays some guitar, but he was mostly a lead singer. Sometimes I kind of miss that formula, right? Because everybody has to play, and don't get me wrong, like, I love Cinderella. They're one of my favorite bands. Tom Kiefer sings and plays guitar. Love it. But sometimes I like a lead singer just to be the lead singer, because then he could just concentrate on the crowd and get them going, get the songs going and all that. Now, that's another one I didn't really bring up yet, too. I didn't write this in the title. There was a rumor that Cinderella was asked to do a 40-year anniversary tour. And a rumor is that Motley Crue asked them if they would reform. And, with Tom Kiefer and Cinderella, I kind of understand that more than I do than Poison, just because, you don't have Jeff LaBar, and Jeff LaBar was a major part of the band. If you don't know a lot of the history, when Tom Kiefer lost his voice, when he was retraining his voice to sing again, Jeff LaBar was with him. They would actually lock themselves in a room, away from the media, away from the news, social media, and Jeff LaBar was sat there and help him get his voice back. Tom Kiefer told that story a long time. Jeff LaBar was such a major part of him getting his voice back. You don't have that. In full original member, Eric Bradingham, who's with him even before Jeff LaBar joined the band, and then Fred Coury. And this is nothing against Fred Coury. You guys all know Fred Coury never played drums on Night Songs, or Fred Coury never played drums on Long Cold Winter. You guys know that, right? Fred Coury didn't play drums on a Cinderella album until Heartbreak Station, and some on a little bit on Still Climbing, with the song Hot and Bothered that was made for Wayne's World. So he was put in the band, but in a weird, I'm not disrespecting Fred, but he was like a member, but not fully a member. So, somewhat, I can see Tom Kiefer, because it took him a long time to get his solo band recognizable out there. To jump away from that, to set that band back. So I could fully understand why Tom Kiefer did not do his 40-year anniversary tour. Poison's a little different. Bret Michaels could do Poison solo. He doesn't have to build it up. It just go. Tom Kiefer had to build up back his solo band. So I fully understand that. Let me see here. We all need a little shelter, just a little helper. Poison is just neutral. Nothing about really sticks out. Hey, everybody has their own opinion about Queen's right. That dude can sing. Well, Queen's right. I live in Seattle, and people always talk about Seattle grunge. Hates hair metal. Queen's right was in the hair metal days. The grunge bands hated the look of these bands. Heart from the 70s, when they came into the 80s, Heart looked like a typical 80s band. So you don't put on a whole city because of crap that Kurt Cobain and Eddie Vedder used to say about other bands. And no offense, Soundgarden lead singer, don't take that away. Seattle loves live music. Queen's Right is proof of that. Alice in Chains is beloved by almost all 80s bands because Alice in Chains played with everybody. He loved playing with everybody. My God, you know what I mean? So, that, and Queen's Right, oh my God, that pipe, that voice. And it sucks that there's like two Queen's Right touring out there, one with the lead singer, one without it. I wish something could magically come back together, but I know it won't happen. Bruce Dickinson, I love his voice so much. Bro, yeah, Bruce Dickinson. I mean, his voice is just wonderful. King Diamond, I don't know how real King Diamond, Merciful Fate. I love that guy's voice. I don't know any of these people's names. Cinderella was one of my favorite bands. Yeah, Cinderella. Everybody knows Cinderella is like I call them my band. The Night Songs was the first album I ever bought as a kid with my own money. Was actually Night Songs. I love them. Do I wish they would listen? In a perfect world, and I'm glad you made that comment. In a perfect world, I will love for Cinderella and Poison. They don't need any other band, no more opening acts, just those two together. Like next year, do some shows together, like they did on the 20th year anniversary. Oh, the only band I would say is bring Tesla along with them because they all had albums that came out in '86. I think a Cinderella, Poison, Tesla, and make all three of them co-headliners. Make all three of them co-headliners. No opening acts, right? Just give them all at the same time and bring that music from 1986. That's a dream scenario. Ain't probably ever going to happen, but Alice in Chains is pretty cool. The song Roads Madness was the first song I really liked of them. At age 55, I honestly think that our generation had the best music. Love your page, by the way. I appreciate that. I do too. And I'm not just saying that just to say that. The music was fun. You could listen to it. You could rock to it. You could sing to it. And the thing is, it's something that nobody will ever see again. I know Motley Crue, we're gonna get to Motley Crue in a second. Even Motley Crue saying, the Sunset Boulevard is a scene that is never going to happen again. When we all went to concerts, it was like an event, right? It was an event. Like when we went to Motley Crue, we all got back of a pickup truck when you're allowed to sit in back of pickup trucks before they banned it. All going to Fresno. We're all going to Southern Arena to watch Motley Crue, and you are with your people because in school for liking this kind of music, you were considered devil's music, right? You were considered the devil's music, and this is true, right? Everybody looked down on, oh, that's a metalhead. Oh, he's a metalhead. It was a way of saying he's a shithead, right? But you went to this concert, it was like you're with your family. And when you bought a ticket, it was all general admission. You could go anywhere. You You could, if you want to go fight your way to get to the stage, you could. I squeezed myself. Yeah, I saw Poison, Cinderella, David Lee Roth. You know, I saw all those bands up to the stage. It wasn't until I remember, was it 1995? I don't remember what year it was. It was Van Halen. And then they started, the charges wasn't by the seat number. It was like lower level, upper level. If you want lower level, you pay this. You want upper level, you pay this. Then it went from that to seats. So it was almost like you were taking people that were rich. They were able to go to the stage now. People who didn't have that much money, we had to sit in the back. It wasn't like a mix of everybody together. And that's something that is never going to happen again. Never, ever going to happen again. And nobody will, I'm not talking about small clubs. I'm talking arena level, people, stadium levels. You're never going to see Journal Mission again. That's gone. You could blame that to Napster for killing the album sales that caused the bands to now have to make money by seats. So it's, I can't sit here and, everything changes. It sucks. All right, the last part of the news today, is the hold on, let me pop this up. Is, of course, if you heard, we all know that there was a lawsuit against Mick Mars against Motley Crue. How Mick Mars lost a lawsuit against Motley Crue, but Motley Crue is touring in 2026, but they're touring with Johnny Five. Mick Mars got sick of getting fired from his own band. He blamed his bandmates for pushing him out of the band, Motley Crue, claiming they conspired to reduce his space from profits after the retiring touring. He had retired, no longer able to tour due to his disease. That his spinal. We all know this. The courts came out and ruled in favor of Motley Crue. Outcome: the judge ruled against Mick Mars. Mars lost his legal challenge. Court affirmed band members' rights to make group business decisions. Court strikes down Mars' effort to gain greater access to the band's financial. Mick loses. I'm sorry, I don't know why I can't read this. Mick loses the Crue millions. And also, what it doesn't say there is that they're saying that Mick Mars has to pay $750,000 to Motley Crue for lawyer fees. And I hope that Motley Crue, Nikki Sixx, Tommy Lee, Vince Neil say, no, don't worry about it. You don't have to pay that back. The worst thing of it is not. We all know there's been so many lawsuits. We all know Rat has sued each other for name rights and all that. What's worse about it is just, is their friendship not? Are they not like going to be like ever close friends again? Because one thing about Motley Crue in the beginning, we all know stories, firing Vince Neil. They got Crosby and they got Vince Neil back. Then Tommy Lee actually quit the band. And then Tommy Lee rejoined the band. I mean, we know all that. But what I'm talking about is Motley was us against the world. Let's take this world by the balls and let's, we're brotherhood. Is that brotherhood lost? Now, I don't listen. Motley Crue wants to tour with Johnny Five. Go for it. Because listen, Mick Mars can't form. Now, I know they did it in the world tour and they signed this paper, blah, 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 blah. If the band wants to tour, they should tour. And unfortunately, Mick Mars can't. Now, Johnny Five will never replace Mick Mars, ever. Motley Crue is the one band you could say is Mick Mars, is Vince Neil, is Tommy Lee, is Nikki Sixx. No disrespect to other bands like Cinderella. You could say that band is really Tom Kiefer's band. You could say that. You could even say somewhat Poison is Bret Michaels, right? But there's certain bands like Def Leppard, it's all the band members, right? Right? And that's one thing you can say about Motley Crue. It's not just one member, it's the 4 members. You know, it's not the same without Tommy. It's not the same without Nikki. It's not the same without Vince. It is not the same without Mick. All 4 of them makes the name Motley Crue. So, you know what I mean? So it's not that you know, I wish, of course, there was never a lawsuit. Tesla, that's another good. Tesla is not one individual. Tesla is Tesla. And guys, you guys never seen Tesla live. They kick ass. They truly kick ass. You know what I mean? So I don't regret. I know people are like, I can't believe Motley Crue's still touring. Okay, you can't believe it. You don't have to go. Nobody forces anybody to go to concerts. You know? And do I they're ruining their you know, by them touring, you know, Vince Neil don't have his voice. They're ruining their past. No, they're not. No band's ruining their past and what they do now. It's almost like they're making a remake. What if that remake sucks? It's going to ruin the original. No, it doesn't. You ever watch the original Poltergeist? Fantastic movie. You watch the remake, it sucks. I still go back and watch the original. It doesn't take away from what they done. Listen, Motley Crue is coming to Springfield, Washington in September. I'm going. I'm going to have a good time. Do I wish it was Mick Mars? 100%. 100%. But he's not going to be there. One of the reasons I'm going, because I'm going to be there with my brothers and sisters, everybody there, just to have a good time. That's why I'm going. It's to have a good time, because I know, like that's one song I mentioned earlier, Reach for the Sky, because tomorrow may never come. You know, we just talked about Three Doors Down, passed away at 47. At 47. And guys, I'm going to tell you something. I love talking to you guys, because right now I should be at the Seahawks parade. I live in Seattle. I'm a huge Seahawks fan, but I haven't been live for a long time. I said, I got to do my live show. These are my people right here. Wasn't that a good fucking Super Bowl? Oh, man. Oh, Danny Stanton, my buddy. We got some good footage of us celebrating the win here. I don't know if I'm ever gonna post that on the channel, but maybe I'll send it to you. And all that. So again, guys, most of my shows are on Tuesdays and Friday because of what happened last week. My brother came down. There were just so many things I couldn't do last week, so I apologize. I keep rescheduling the docket because we're gonna put together our Dawkins top 5 with you and I. So I apologize for that. I'm doing the top 5 Dawkins show where I'm not picking the top 5. We are. I already done a Dawkins a long time ago. My top 5. We're gonna do it, and that will be Friday. Everything will be back to normal. I had to do this show today because I appreciate. I celebrate with you guys, and I've never done a video about we hit 50,000 subscribers. I mean, it's just fucking unbelievable. And I'm not just saying that because I want to hit 100,000. When I hit 50,000, it means that people still love this music. And everybody he knows, you should do a top 50 Dawkins. Oh, man. We'll be there all freaking day. We'll be there. Bakersfield, California. You know what's funny? I shouldn't say this. We graduated from high school. I went to high school, Kerman High School, outside of Fresno. We worked at a ski resort at the time, ski resort called Sierra Summit. And there was a big signs, drug-free resort. Drug-free ski resort. And 70% of all the people who worked there were from Bakersfield. And I've never seen more drugs in my life. And the only thing I'm saying was funny is there were signs everywhere. We are a drug-free place where you can ski. And I never saw more drugs in my life. I saw more people on drugs, snowboarding and skiing and all that. So I know that's not funny, but it's true, right? It was true. And it's funny, we had to clean up snow off of these roofs, and half the people that I was doing snow off, I shouldn't be laughing. They're all on something to keep warm and stuff, but I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that. You're at 52K now, man. That means they give them away free, right? Dude, one time, Danny, I went to the bar at the ski resort. I was off my shift. I had no money. I haven't got paid yet. I just sat there, and everybody started buying me drinks. Just, you want a drink? You want a drink? And I was so wasted. They had to carry me back to my my RV that I had parked, my trailer, because I had a small little trailer at the Sierra Summit ski resort. Because I was working there. I wasn't rich enough to where I had a season pass, but sometimes you're at the right place at the right time. But beyond that, guys, I appreciate every single one of you. I'm so happy that this channel is growing, that there's people like us who love this music. And if you become a member, I've been dropping member stories every day. It's just like little clips of history. Most of us already know, but it's for the people who might not heard some of these stories. And every story that I just talked about here, those little images, there's gonna be posted in about 13 minutes, just for a little history for people and all that. And I'm going to do 2 shows a week. It's not always going to be about the news, because there's not always a lot of news that came out. I just thought there's so many news. And one of the things I just want people to say, hey, listen, Poison's not touring in 2026. Let's stop speculating why. Just accept it. And maybe we hope for next year. Dee Snider, my heart goes out to him. I know he wanted to tour this year. And the main thing about Motley Crue's lawsuit is I hope that the guys can all still be friends, because it's about brotherhood. One of the videos I posted a while back, Michael Anthony never got to say like sorry or with Eddie before he died, and he said it hurts him. You know what I mean? Sammy Hagar was able to talk to Eddie before he died to bridge the gaps, and I want that with Motley Crue. I don't want Mick Mars to pass away, or any of the band members pass away, because Vince Neil had a stroke, guys. I mean, we could have lost him. We all love Motley Crue, and we hope they can still be friends after all of this. Let's keep our fingers crossed, right? And I don't want this lawsuit to be, to be not the end, but end of their own friendship. I care more about friendships, because we're all getting older in life, people. And, sometimes you gotta let bygones be bygones. Just let it go, and let's just have fun and be brave and talk about, music we love, and just enjoy each other. So beyond that, guys, I appreciate you all, and I'll see you this Friday live. This Friday will be at 1:10 p.m. Unless you guys like this 10 a.m. better, put it in the comments. Email me at hairmetalrevolution@gmail.com. If you want me to do a certain top 5 or something, let me know. And Danny Stanton will tell you that I would base a show around your comment, what you want to see. Doesn't matter to me, because I'll start off a show with something and we'll end it. Who knows where we'll end it? But beyond that, I'll talk to you guys later. I love you all.
We'll build a brighter future for everyone.